and welcome to Table Ready. A very special episode of Table Ready, the live show where we play some great games with some even better people. I'm Mike Early, but you, like all of my friends, can call me Burger.
Hi.
Joining me today are Chris and Heather O'Neill from Ninth Level Games, here to talk about their new game, Pavlov's Dogs. How you guys doing this evening? Thanks for coming by.
Really
Doing
good.
pretty good. Doing pretty good. Yeah, I probably knew you for a couple of years before I knew that your name wasn't Burger.
It's true. Most people
that your
don't.
parents gave you a name.
It's true. People, it's funny as now I work with old friends, and they know, my coworkers know me as Michael, but when I run into like people who knew me before, they're like, wait, who the fuck is Michael really?
Right. We have the same thing in one of our groups. The guy goes by Sharky, but his first name's Michael as well. So we literally had like a little trivia night. And it was like, who's Michael Fitzgerald? And people literally didn't even know.
Like,
someone they've known like 15 years, and they were like, oh.
I've slept in his house.
I think it's hilarious that it's all Michaels, too.
Right.
There's just too many of us.
Too many Michaels.
Pavlov's Dogs is the spiritual follow-up, I'm guessing, to your previous game you guys did, Schrodinger's Cats.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, did this come around, did you guys plan these at the same time, or was this like a serendipitous...
No, well, I had, as soon as we were working on Schrodinger's and it was going to become like reality, we thought about Pavlov's Dogs, but we didn't have the design or any idea of what we were going to do. And then once it came out, like, I really wanted to put out Pavlov's Dogs. It just took time to get the right mechanics and everything. And we were talking about this before. I think it was in 16-ish. I thought I had like the right mechanic, and it was going to be a trick-taking game or a trick-doing game for dogs. And it just, after it all, it ended up just not really feeling like you were getting conditioned like in Pavlov's Dogs.
Nice.
So we ended up shelving the whole thing, and kind of like late 18, early 19 being like, oh, I think I have something. Then we kind of tag teamed an idea Chris had with an idea I had, and
when we had originally done Schrodinger's Cats, we had that name long before we had the game.
Yeah.
And then one day we came up with the game and realized it was Schrodinger's Cats. And then we knew that we had to do Pavlov's Dogs.
Yeah.
But
we just didn't have the game yet, and I wanted it.
We didn't have the game.
We
wanted the game to be very specifically,
about conditioning, like there would be, and similarly, like Schrodinger's Cats, you are talking about dead and alive cats in a box. Right. So for this, it was like, we want there to be bells, we want there to be dogs and actions, but how can you feel conditioned? So we finally feel like we got there, and here we are on Kickstarter now.
Yes. So speaking of Kickstarter, the game is currently funding on Kickstarter. Yep. It ends the end of next week, next Thursday?
The 6th, next Thursday, February 6th.
If you type !dogs into our chat, you'll be able to get a link to the Kickstarter to check out their page. Dogs. So I've played Schrodinger's Cats.
This is nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
Gameplay is completely different.
Wonderful.
Concept-wise, it involves cute animals and science.
Let's take a look at our components that we have here. Switching down to this, we have...
Yeah, so there's...
this is a pre-production copy. This
is not exactly what it's going to look like, but basically we have a deck that's a test deck of cards that have basic numbered cards and a couple suits that have little words that are dog commands or bells and some numbers. Then you've got your dogter cards, which are going to be giving us different rules every single round.
Okay.
And each one of these decks is a unique set of rules that allow that, as long as you only have one from each deck, you'll never have rules that will interact with each other.
Right. There's no conflicts. It's each one vector is affected.
There's never going to be a conflict.
And these are going to change what you do when you play these cards. So once we actually set the game up, we're going to decide which one of these are in play, and then we're going to remove these, and we're just going to be playing with this deck of cards.
Wonderful.
There's also a file folder that is where the dogter,
and the final will look exactly like this. It's made out of
it's going to be card sleeves taped to it as a cardboard.
It's going to be made out of. It's going to be an accordion fold.
Nice.
Actual.
But basically what it is where we will store these cards that are the rules in play for the entire game. Mm-hmm. And each one of us is going to take turns being the doctor and making sure the other players are following the rules.
I got to tell you, I like how bright and colorful and clear all of these cards are.
Well, it's funny that you say that because there are only 4 colors in the entire deck. There is a blue, a brown, a yellow, and a white. And these are the colors
They look
that
a little
dogs
orange
can
here.
see.
Really?
Yeah, so the colors that dogs can't see, we didn't use in the...
You wouldn't want to offend any dog players.
Right.
Yeah, no, we
no
actually...
actual dogs were
we actually... we have one of our design partners, one of our developer friends is colorblind, and it just kind of became like standard practice that we do a lot of really colorful design, so we check everything for color blindness. Mm-hmm. And then with the idea that dogs don't see all the colors,
right.
It just became kind of part of
right.
the fight.
That's where we got the palette from. Oh, bless you. That's where we got the color palette from, was because we were going to go the brown route anyway a little bit, but then it was like, oh, you know what, perfect. These are the colors they can see, no problem. So basically, in this set, it's a little extra orange than it will be, but basically, that's all the colors in the game. And other than that, there's a big pile of 24 bones that will probably be die cut or possibly wood that each player will have 3 at the start of the game. And, you know, it's a cooperative game that we're all going to try to keep as many bones as we can by the end of the game.
All right, so how do you lose bones?
So you lose bones when you're a bad dog.
Oh.
But you don't gain bones for being a good dog.
Okay, you just don't lose them.
But you just don't lose them. So the idea, and I can kind of go over a quick example here before we move this little setup, is everyone's going to have been dealt 5 face down cards, and they don't look at them. Okay. Right.
You hold them in your hand.
Or you can leave them there.
You can leave them there, or you can hold them in your hand like that. You're going to play them.
Gotcha.
But the idea being that while one player, let's say Michael, I almost said Burger, is going to be the doctor. Let's say this rule was in effect. Bark when yellow cards are played is in effect. Then if I flip this top card, I say the total number of the test. I say 0. Then the next player would go, and maybe they say 5, and that's all they say. They'd be a bad dog because they didn't bark a yellow card was played.
Okay.
That's when you would lose a bone. Otherwise, if you followed all the rules, you'll be told you're a good dog that signals the next player can go. And we go through until everybody's out of their 5 cards. That's the end of the test. It's very simple, but yet it's actually not as simple as you may think the longer the game goes.
When there's one rule, it's not that hard. When there's 8 rules and all those rules are about different things, it gets a little mind melting.
Okay,
right. And
I can dig that.
So we kind of are like the 2 descripting games that we can think of that it's similar to are, it's like Uno meets the Mind, okay? Mm-hmm. Because it's just as simple as Uno in gameplay sometimes, and if you can handle Uno, you can handle the gameplay. However, it could scale if you went to hard and you played all 8, up to a mind melter like the Mind or the game, where you're kind of like, I don't know if I can make it through. So it's similar in that vibe. Basically, the game has easy, medium, hard, and very hard dog turn levels.
These all the same doggos? Yeah.
Yeah. So each one of these, there's 5 different possible rules for each type of dog, and you decide ahead of time if you're going to play on puppy mode, which is 3 tests, dog, which is 5, or wolf, which is all 8.
Okay.
If you're not playing all 8, you could really scale it down even simpler, where you play 2 easy and a medium on the puppy level. Let's say you're playing with younger kids.
Right.
These are going to affect more things like barks and make noises and do an action, whereas this is going to either maybe reverse order or very simple math. These are going to be harder math changes, number changes, and these are going to be harder, like subtracting and doubling and different things like that.
Okay.
Which, again, things like, double all the blue cards. You're like, well, that's not that hard. Except that it is.
Yeah,
when you start to add everything on.
Right.
And let's say, maybe, you've had a beverage or 2.
Yeah.
It gets even harder.
Right.
But in a very fun way.
In a fun way. So the idea is, because it scales from 2 to 8 people, and it can scale from a young to a bigger audience, this could be a good family game or a fun party game for a big group, right? While using the same thing. And I've had it playing probably down to about a 5 or 6-year-old. And again, they need a little more time to do the math, but they can handle the game on the lower levels.
Awesome.
Yeah, so there's a good range of gameplay with this. And really, even with the 8-player, it's still, we're talking about a half an hour game.
And when you're
it's
doing
not bad.
When you're doing a party and you have a game of, like, typical party game that you see in places is, to throw a bad game out there, Cards Against Humanity. That game can go on forever.
Oh yeah.
Right. Sometimes games they'll just go on too long. I like when you play a game. Like I just started playing Wavelength, and Wavelength ends extremely quick. But that's great because again, you just go, okay, you want to play again? Switch the teams up, whatever. Because you're not sitting there waiting for the rule.
I got to play that on a prototype last year at PAX South. It's a blast.
The actual the actual components of Wavelength are really good. They did a really great job of producing it. Yeah,
it's
great.
I suggest it if you can. I don't know exactly what the retail is because we kickstarted it, but if you, it seems worth it if it's like around $30.
I know the Kickstarter was definitely lower than what it's actually going for.
The quality is really nice though. But so what I'm thinking is. Nice, so similarly to something of that time frame, right? Where you're talking, it's probably a half an hour, but it can handle 8 people.
Up to about 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Maximum. And the other thing we have in the rule book that we won't really be able to show tonight because we don't have enough people is there's a team play variant where you're actually one team versus the other.
I saw
so if you have 8 or more, that's the only time it's competitive where we're both kind of going head to head. Where we're going to each do 4 tests, and we're going to see who has the best score at the end of the 4 tests.
And that's fun, too, because you have people who do have their competitive edge.
Sure.
Some people only want to play games competitively.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people only want to play games cooperatively. So
so I think
of both worlds.
It kind of hits a lot of points, and I feel like it really drives home that conditioning, which is what we were looking for in the game design.
Awesome. So let's take a look at our dog tours.
Sure. So what I'm thinking we're gonna do is because it's just the 3 of us playing, and I think we're pretty smart people. I think we start
board games.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I think we can handle. Let's try to do the wolf level, the hardest level first. Okay, which will mean we're gonna actually take a rule from each doctor. So what I'm going to do is, before we actually take them, I'll show examples from each of these, and then we'll take a different one to actually play with.
Wonderful.
So the easy, like we went over before, might be something like bark when a yellow card is played, or something like mime the beg action when beg is played. That's the kind of things you're going to see here.
Sure.
Medium, you're going to see stuff like say the name of the yellow cards. That's the word shake or sit.
Okay.
Or say ding when a bell is played. So just a little bit different. They might have some basic math in there. This one's actually pretty easy for hard. It just says begs are always 0. And this one says fetch skips the next player. So again, we're not too difficult, but again, we're just so many things. And then very hard, we've got double all brown cards, and we've got subtract all blue cards. And yes, you can go negative. So that's where things get a little bit hectic.
So what I'm seeing here is that we're doing a card counting training.
In some ways, it is kind of like that because one of the things you have to, if you've ever watched any of your how to card count blackjack, right? You do have to keep a running total, right? So you got to keep that number in your head while you do these other things, and that can be really hard. The most common thing that people fail on, I think, is just keeping the running total correct.
Well, and basically, as we go through, I'll go into a little more detail of ways you can make it, more cutthroat right, so or a little bit more
I've shuffled
helpful.
This whole deck's been shuffled.
All right, here we're going to hand out 3 bones to everybody.
We're each going to have 3 bones.
Okay.
Let's put them so that they're in the shot.
And we're actually going to take, because we're going to play on wolf level, which is very hard, we'll be taking 1 from each of these piles.
Excellent. Do you get to pick? Or
well, in this,
no.
We aren't going to know what they are.
Okay.
So that's why
you already took them
I
out,
took
right?
away the other ones. So we will put these in.
The most fun is for it to be completely random. And so the biggest hardness decision that we have to make is, are we going to play nice or are we going to play tough?
Well, yeah, explain what you mean by that.
So, and we actually make the rules. We actually wrote the rules so that this is up to the play group, right? This isn't a hard and fast rule. You get to decide how stringent you want to be about the rules. So,
basically, what we're saying is that it's at the discretion of the doctor on if you're a good or a bad dog. Does that mean if you didn't say the correct thing in 3 seconds, is it they said it but it was a little delayed, or I meant 7? That's what I'm talking about. Right. We kind of let it be the discretion of the play group.
The actual play group and the actual person.
And that's what's going to happen in real life.
You make your own fun.
Right. I can tell you already that I'm a really harsh judge.
That's fair.
Right. Now the other thing
probably
is
could've guessed that.
we also say is when you're playing, the rules can be expressed in any order on your turn, except the last thing that you do is say the value of the pile.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the signal
That you're
to
done.
the doctor that you're done.
All right.
Right.
Okay. I get it.
And what I want to do is I want to go through a couple of things before we actually start the game here.
Let's go.
I'm just getting these stuck into this little doctor folder so we can actually play.
The play's actually going to go pretty fast because at any
'Cause we
time
only
it's
have
only
a
going to
few
be
people.
2 of us playing.
So,
Because the third one is going to be
The dog tour.
the dog tour that is watching us.
so since we have this up, still looking here, the idea will be, it's going to look different obviously, but the first doctor is going to have all of these face down, and on their turn they're going to choose which one they're going to face up.
Okay.
And I want to introduce the doctors because we didn't do that yet.
Oh, that's super good.
So we've got Anna Fetch, who's a puppy psychologist. We've got Abby Maslow, who does doggy needs. John B. Wagson, dog stimulus. Emmanuel Mutt, good dog ethics. Maggie Washpaw, canine motor theory. Sigmund Fetch, big dog ego. Bark F. Skinner, canine behavior. And Collie Young, pupper personality. So there's cute little dog puns.
And of course, our classic,
Yes.
the actual Pavlov himself
Nice.
is on the backs of all that.
And the cards are actually going to look a little bit different anyway. But the idea would be, it's at the discretion to the doctor and the group. You could ask the group if you want, but they can choose, say, you know what, let's start out right off the bat with a very hard. Other people might say, let's ease into it. So this is...
So, as the dog tour, are you going to tell somebody what rule you revealed?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's just start with an easy, because, like, you know, we already know
Fair
we're
enough.
going on the hard. So let's go with an Anna Fetch. We'll just start up in the corner. I'm going to flip
these are
this
gonna be your
face
cards
forward
there,
now.
Burger.
So now we have one rule for
Okay.
this round, which is scratch your ear when sit cards are played. That's
Okay.
pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Okay, so there's no other major things happening. So in this round, I'm going to be the doctor, and Chris and Burger are going to play.
So it's real
And
simple.
all they're going to do is, flip the top card and then announce the total of the test.
5,
Good dog. And then you're going to do yours and add it to that total.
8.
Good dog.
9,
Good dog.
14.
Good dog.
16.
Bad dog. You didn't scratch your ear.
I couldn't remember what it was. to scratch it.
So, see?
Right?
It was
So, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to lose a bone then.
okay.
Oh, no.
And when he loses a bone, the test resets to 0. This way, if there was a math mistake or something, it's easy to just say, nope, it's back to 0. So then you're going to start us off again at 0.
And if any time any one of us doesn't have a bone,
Yeah.
then the test is over.
Okay.
And we figure out how well we did.
That's a bell. 0.
Yep. Good dog.
3,
Good dog.
5.
Good dog.
6,
Good dog.
6.
Good dog. So we got through the round, and we conditioned you to learn how to do that.
Again, I saw the word sit. I was like, you have to do something. What is it that you have to do?
So now this is always going to be in effect every single round, and then Chris is going to be the doctor and pick any other role. Then there'll be 2
Okay.
rolls, etc., till we get through all 8.
I dig this.
Yeah. And your brain's going because you're trying to
We'll see what
associate.
happens in a minute.
You're trying to associate what you're supposed to do with each thing, and so it's interesting. Yeah.
And,
And obviously, imagine with 7 other people, it could be
when you have
really
more
funny.
players, it's actually easier to remember all the things because you see more cards.
And you see them do it.
In
Right.
this, because we're only going to have 10 cards per round. There's going to be rounds where we don't see a rule.
I mean,
Possibly.
I'm also thinking about like the more people there are, the higher that number gets
Mm-hmm.
too.
Oh yeah.
The number gets higher, and
we're
more
going to
craziness.
scratch ear when sit cards are played, and beg cards are 5.
So they're always 5.
Beg cards are 5.
Always 5. Okay. All right. Whenever you're ready, Burger. Do you want to go over them again, or you got them?
I got it.
Okay.
5.
Good dog.
7.
Good dog.
I had to think about that. Sit for a second.
8.
Good dog.
Wait. 13.
Yeah.
Good dog.
I was like, or I was more. I forgot we were at 8.
16.
He did. He did.
Technically.
I scratched after.
But I'm gonna let you go because it's
Okay.
your first time playing. But
Yeah.
technically, I should have called you.
That's right.
So
11.
16, right?
Yes.
Okay. 21.
Good dog.
You have to
Sorry.
do the math. in your head.
24.
Good dog.
24.
Good dog.
24.
Good dog.
24.
Yeah, good
Okay,
dog.
we like the bells
Nice.
at the end. That's easy.
All right, so then we're gonna pass this over to Burger.
Alrighty.
Heather's gonna shuffle up the deck.
I'm gonna.
We had a little mishap in the beginning, but I think, like, you know, if we can get through a couple rounds, we might actually get through all 8.
I would like to let everybody at home know that I didn't set that up. I actually just legitimately failed at that.
You literally forgot.
All right.
I'm actually really bad at this game.
I get that. Next time I have you, we'll have to make it a drinking game. Bell cards are 1.
Bell are 1.
cards are 1.
Begs are 5. Scratch your ear with
Scratch on
blade.
sit.
Right?
Yep.
And the idea would be you would either show us them or see them, show them to everybody or say them all, or we could ask you questions, and then when we're all ready.
But that's totally up
Yeah.
to the
Up to the people involved.
it's up to the people involved, right?
Yep.
We make it clear so that you know.
Thanks for the follow.
I love the OBS activity of hey, here's a cool noise for someone that's just decided to follow.
Yeah.
If somebody donates us bits, there's another fun soundbite that I added.
All right. I think I'm ready for this round.
All right.
I just
Enough
wanna-
table
wait.
talk has completely
Yes,
confused me.
I think that's what I said. I was
Yeah.
gonna do a.
Do you guys want to hear him again?
Yeah. Well,
Nope.
no, I think
No?
I have it. I
Okay.
have it. I think the new one. We'll see if I get it right. 5.
10.
We didn't wait for.
Oh,
this.
good dog.
Yeah,
Good dog.
but I figured.
Oh.
Yeah.
11.
Good dog.
11.
Bad dog.
God,
Bells are 1.
I even knew it when I said it.
All right, so then you lose a bone. It resets to 0.
Do I pass it on?
No,
Oh.
we still go through this round.
Okay.
4.
Good dog.
6.
Good dog.
7.
Good dog.
11.
Good dog.
14.
Good dog.
I think about the math for a second.
15.
Good dog.
Yay!
You did it.
All right.
Now, here's something that we didn't talk about last round, but we definitely need to talk about now. Because it's cooperative, you can
Because
share
Chris has screwed
you
up.
can share bones in between rounds.
I'm gonna give you a bone.
So, whoever is the doctor, right? I can never lose a bone
Yeah.
because I'm the doctor. However, I can't give all 3 of my bones away because then
Yeah,
I'm out
that's
of
out
bones.
one.
So I could choose to do this. So what I'm thinking I might do is, you're going to be the doctor next. You think you can handle 2?
I can handle 2.
So we'll leave you. Well, if you get 2 wrong, though, I don't think you will. But just in case.
Just in case.
Then you can give it away because you're going to be the doctor next if necessary. So, all right. So if somebody can shuffle those out.
I'm not gonna shuffle.
I'm gonna.
Sorry, I'm not very good at it.
Am I going to a very hard?
So I might not be very good at this game, but I'm very good at shuffling.
I
Alright.
use sleeves my magic text for a reason.
Hey man, I also sleeve all magic decks.
All right, well-
but I can pile shuffle a sleeve magic deck, no problem.
I kind of knew this was gonna happen when I picked it very hard, but I was like, well, let's just do
Do
it
it.
now. Let's rip the Band-Aid
Do
off.
it.
Subtract all brown cards.
Subtract all.
So the problem is, if brown cards start coming out early, we're doing negative. So let me go over these again. We've got scratch ear when sit cards are played. Bell cards are 1. Beg cards are 5. And subtract all brown cards.
Subtract all brown cards.
All right?
All right, let's do it.
Chris,
2.
good dog.
6.
Bad dog.
Wait.
Begs are
Oh, begs are 1.
5. They're
5. Damn it.
That's okay. All right, so then we reset to 0. Chris,
4.
good dog.
3.
Good dog. You forgot that, Chris. How could you?
Totally did. -1.
Good dog.
no.
I had to help you, though. I had to help you.
I
Wow.
still
You
know
were harsh
what's
on
wrong.
yourself. Okay.
If I'm gonna stick by my own
All right.
rules, I'm gonna play by my own rules.
Maybe we shouldn't have started so harsh at the beginning. All right,
awesome.
you-
4.
Good dog.
6.
Good dog.
11.
Good dog. Good dog.
0. 1.
But that's okay. It's the whole number
7.
anyway. Bad dog, and we lose.
Damn.
But we at least got through puppy mode, which we got to 4, so that wasn't too
Not
bad.
even 7. It would be 9.
I know, yeah, because you were saying what the value of the card was, which is fine. But I'm like, either way, it's wrong, so that's okay.
Oh man.
So I mean, we obviously started out like extremely hard, but I also knew we had time to play this multiple times. So now we got the idea of it. So then, had he not gone out, we would have been able to go through and just redistribute bones again.
Correct.
We were more concerned about you, Chris, and maybe I should have.
You should.
I didn't think about that.
So I mean, the fun thing is there's actually like a little chart. So then when you don't fail the experiment like we just did, you figure out how many bones you have left, and then based on the number of players,
I have it. I can
and the
actually
level,
grab it a little bit.
you it tells you like did you get an A or B? You
Oh,
know?
really cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like so there's actually like a
I'll
grading.
actually get it. So we
Which
have
is-
something to look forward to. So basically, the rules as written are pass-fail. So in this case, we failed because we reached too high. We took a too high of a level course.
The Icarus Wolf maneuver.
But had we played on puppy level and we had, what do we have, 5
4
bones,
left.
4
Yeah.
bones left, we would have gotten a C+,
Hey,
which
that
wasn't ideal.
Looks a whole lot like my high school transcript. So.
Okay, so because we didn't even use 4 of these, I'm going to leave the 4 that are face down in there, and I'm just going to replace the ones that we actually...
So if you were to add Kanye to the game, what kind of dog would he be?
Oh, jeez.
It's a good,
He likes to think he's his own psychologist.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Kanye thinks he's a whole lot of things. The one thing I will always give Kanye is he
Maybe
is
like
the,
a Dalmatian or something.
He's
Like a
definitely
skinnier dog like that, like...
an Italian Greyhound,
yeah, maybe.
I see that.
a Whippet.
A whippet, yeah.
Would be a good one too.
Might be a Whippet.
That's funny.
Yeah, there were so many like requests for specific types of dogs, and it's like we can only do so many things. Plus, we literally had our artist James Stowe, who did the art on Schrodinger's cats as well.
Did he also do barricades?
And
Actually, no. Chris O'Neill did the art for Barricades.
You did the art for
I
Barricades?
did the art for
Nice.
Barricades. Yeah, no. He did the art for Schrodinger's Cats. James Stowe. He did the art for Meeple Party.
That's the one.
yeah,
And he did the art for this.
Nice.
yeah. So
Like in Schrodinger's Cats, he actually sat down and took pictures of the actual real scientists and then interpreted them
As a
as
dog.
animals.
yeah, it's kind of hard to see here, but if you look a little bit there, like in this case, they're much more like doggy looking, and than the
less
actual people.
anthropomorphic.
But the very first test run of drawings, both on cats and here, it was kind of like a halfway point between the actual person and the animal. And then it was like, okay, cartoonify it a little bit more. Got
To
to
make
this.
them more
So
like the
came
real
out cute.
animals, yeah.
Came out. Really
He's got a real. He has a.
You would be the doctor first.
Oh,
yeah.
he has a. He has a thing he does on Twitter where his son Barrett explains a Pokemon to him, and James has literally never seen like a real Pokemon
I've
ever in
seen
his
that
life. Yeah.
on a pop-up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he draws it based just purely on the bad description
sometimes
from
it
his
gets
son.
pretty
Sometimes it gets
close.
pretty close.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I think it's more to do with the fact that Barrett's bad at descripting.
That's,
Is
that's,
really
that's,
what it comes down to.
that's
Yeah.
quite possible.
He's not. He's like, at this point, he's like 15.
Oh.
He's not.
But it's also,
Oh, so he's fucking with his dad at this
he's a
point.
young little
No, he's just like, oh, Dad, I don't care.
You know, he's red and he's got this. So,
The,
all right. So we're
Yeah, James is a great artist, and we love working
Yeah.
with him.
My favorite one from Schrodinger's Cats is the Neil deGrasse Tyson cat.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
he's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good.
yeah.
Hey, let's start
So
with
cute.
one a rule from John B. Wagson,
All right.
and bell cards are 2.
Nice.
Bell 2.
Bells
Okay.
are 2. Nice and easy.
Always 2. All right.
Nice, clean, easy beginning here. You're gonna start us off, Berger.
All right. Bells are 2.
4.
Good dog.
6.
Good dog.
10.
Good dog.
15.
Good dog.
17.
Good dog.
22.
Good dog.
27.
Good dog.
29.
Good dog.
30.
Good dog.
34.
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy round. Nope, not that
Now,
many
here's the craziest thing.
things.
We're going to ask you this question now that we're already here. Right? Doesn't it feel really good?
It
And
does.
you're like, oh,
You're a
good
good
dog.
dog.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
I
am.
mean, we literally found that we were going to change the way you awarded bones, and people were equally as happy to be told they were a good dog as to get a bone at the end of the round. So I was like, you know what? Like,
We don't need
we're
to
just
give
going
them
to
any
do
kind of
that.
reward.
It's, you keep the bones you have.
So,
All right.
We have one from Sigmund Fetch. It's this weird one about his mother.
So.
Beg cards are 10.
Beg cards are 10.
Bell is
Oh.
2.
And bell cards are 2.
Bells are 2. All right.
This gonna be wild.
All right. Beg 10, bells 2.
Good dog.
4.
We're waiting
Good
for
dog.
a treat. 7.
Good dog.
17.
Good dog.
21.
Good dog.
See when you get a good dog. I think it was at 22 or 1. I forget now.
31.
But you could maybe tell us where you were. It's up to the
good dog.
yeah.
31.
If we were 31, yeah, 31. Okay. 36.
Good dog.
38.
Good dog.
39.
Good dog.
44.
Good dog.
Yeah.
What's the highest you've ever seen the count?
I haven't seen it go too much higher than like in the 60s, just
Okay.
because there's only 5 cards,
Right.
And typically, even in an 8-player, by the time you're getting to there, someone
It
usually
usually
messes
requires
it
that
up.
there's
Or
some doubling.
the doubling.
The doubling and to get the numbers
Yeah,
really
60s,
high. Then they
70s.
usually explode.
Usually 60s, 70s is the highest. We have gone down as low as like the
Okay,
negative
now-
20s.
Now, can you do doubling and then also have the cards
Yes.
be negative? So then is it double
no.
negative?
No, it's in the same.
Oh, no, they're in the same one.
No, it won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
It won't.
Doubles and negatives are in the same one. But you can have begs or 10 and doubling.
Oh, okay.
So that would really ramp it
So
up.
begs
right.
are 20.
Right. That
Okay.
that could
That
really
can
ramp it
happen.
up. Yeah. So that could totally be the.
Yeah, it's funny actually. The hardest math in it is subtract by 3.
Damn.
It's the one that
Yeah,
blows
it's-
people's minds.
It's not great. I'm just gonna do Maggie Wash Paul because let's get both the hards out of the way and then we'll. Maybe I jumped to the very hard just a little too early last time. Well, this could be fun. Everything's fine, guys. You're good dogs.
They're all good dogs, Brent.
The word roll reverses turn order,
Okay.
which in this case almost means nothing because there's 2,
Right.
but would mean a lot in other
All right,
games.
so it's an easy one.
Yeah, so bells are 2.
Actually, let's kill that one.
Okay, because I was gonna
Yeah.
say in a lot of games that can really throw people for a loop. I'll just get a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2-player it
In the
doesn't really
2-player,
work.
it doesn't do anything.
I was actually saying I might take it out. And
Yeah.
I just didn't, so I was like, all right. Let's
We actually had a
see.
conversation. We had a question on the Kickstarter about playing it with 2
2.
people, and
Which-
that actually came
That
up.
came
It's like,
up,
well,
but
what
we
happens
just
when you
haven't
skip?
changed the
And it's
deck
like,
yet.
You can't.
Okay, well this isn't too bad. So bells are 2, begs are 10, and roll are 0.
Okay.
Rolls are 0. Okay. You good?
I'm good whenever you are. Yep.
2.
Good dog.
2.
Good dog.
4.
Good dog.
8.
Good dog.
9.
Good dog.
19.
Good dog. Teen, comma 9.
20.
Good dog.
21.
Good dog.
24.
Good dog.
Hey, thanks for that.
24.
26.
Good dog.
Give me a chat.
Good job,
26.
everybody. All right. So, there you go. Why don't you do that? Or I could do it. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, that's what's gone. My alert box is missing.
Oh.
It's fine.
All right.
Your what box?
My alert box.
Oh.
It's what pops up
Oh.
when,
Sure.
when somebody likes the stream.
Nice.
It gives you a creepy Riker nodding at you.
Oh. How else am I going to step over or sit on this chair?
All right. So
I never saw that until somebody showed me the YouTube video.
Oh yeah, me too. I never really watched any Star Trek.
You never noticed it?
Yeah.
But you watched Star Trek?
I mean, to Riker, the chair is the best.
And the other one that I never noticed is just how much they shoot down Worf's ideas.
Oh yeah, they Worf is very, very clearly, they're just like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're no Tasha Yar. Beg cards are 10, roll cards are 0, bell cards are 2, and bark whenever a bell card is played.
So not only now are they 2, we also bark. Okay.
Right. Who's going first, me or you?
You.
2.
You're okay? You got it? All right.
Rough. 2.
Good dog.
Yeah.
6.
Good dog.
8. Bark. Rough.
Bark,
8.
We'll accept it. Good dog.
13.
Good dog.
16.
Good dog.
19.
Good dog.
I'm like, is there something with Sit? That was the last game.
That was the last game.
23.
Bad dog.
Oh.
Do you need a reminder? It's a 0. Okay. 3.
Good dog.
Rough. 5.
Good dog.
It took you a minute. 15.
Good dog.
17.
Good dog.
Yes.
17.
Good dog.
Awesome.
Yeah, good job, everybody. All right.
Man, this is going down to the wire now.
Yeah. Well, we both have 3. You're the doctor. We can talk. We'll see how we do.
One of the really interesting things I think about playing this game, and I've played a lot of it, is that it doesn't. A lot of games start to get a lot of games start to get a little stale because you're just like, oh, I'm doing the same thing. But the actual activities in this game are so simple that you're not even actually worried about that. It's more about this idea of pushing your brain to remember these things.
That's what it is. And that's why it feels like a party game because, and I really have never really seen anyone get
roll cards are 0. That's what threw me out.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. My last one was one, and I looked at you to see if you figured it out. I'm like, it's the last card, so you'll read it. You'll see. Yeah. All
right. So roll cards are 0. Beg cards are 10. Bark when bell cards are played. They're worth 2. And say hi when speak cards are played.
Hi. Okay. I think I got it.
And actually, in the last one, my favorite thing about this game is what happened to you in the last game, which is you
I
saw
the
sit,
word sit,
and we're like,
and it was brown, and I was like, is there something I have to do?
Because in the last game,
and I knew I didn't, but I was like, I hesitated because I'm like, I feel like I have to do something right now because I'm still remembering the last game. So it's kind of it's just this fun thing to do from a party perspective. All right. Hi, 1.
Good dog.
4.
Good dog.
8.
Good dog.
9.
Good dog.
13. Again, it's getting me again. I keep thinking I have to do something.
13.
Good dog.
Good dog. 16.
Good dog.
Hi. 19.
Good dog.
24.
Bad
no.
dog.
I was so excited about the
I was so excited to actually watch Heather lose a bone. That never happens.
I know.
Never happens.
I do have a pretty good memory.
2.
Good dog.
All right. Yeah.
Heather never loses a bone.
Well,
that was great.
Yeah. I was like, oh.
I was like, yeah, what's wrong?
So, sitting here doing the math.
40-30 is when I should cut that clip out and just send it to you next time you win an argument at home.
Yep. All right, let's see what we got left.
Oh no, I've never won an argument at home.
All right, I'm gonna do medium.
If there's one thing I always know is that
you win many arguments though, just not.
I know. I mean, those are just not at home. Those aren't arguments. Those are declarations of facts.
About the house or anything, yeah, you're losing that.
Those are very different things.
Okay, let's go through these again. So,
hey guys, Barricade was awesome. Good luck on this KS. He backed it.
Nice. Yay, thanks. I think it's...
We always are excited when people like Barricades.
Yeah.
Barricades, the designer of Barricades is Todd Walsh.
Thanks.
And Todd had a big hit this year with...
last year was Set a Watch.
Set a Watch. If you played Set a Watch...
I want to play it so bad.
It's so good. It's a good co-op. So
Set a Watch is real good.
His first published game... Oh, he had a small card game with Button Shy, but then Barricades is his first game because we saw him and we always saw his designs were so great. We're like, we want to work with you.
He was part of our local... here in Philadelphia, we have this thing called the Game Makers Guild, which is there's a couple. There's one in Boston. There's one in New Haven. There's one in Nashville. But there's a very active one here in Philadelphia, and we meet in the city and we meet in Westchester, and that's how we know Todd. And you know,
So. But he's great.
I saw he's planning a sequel to Set a Watch.
Yes, they're working on Set a Watch 2.
But they don't want to call it Set a Watch 2.
No,
right.
They are working on Set a Watch 2, and they're working on another game that I think might still be secret.
Yeah, but he is working on another thing with the same publisher. So,
board games are really cool right now.
Yeah, they are.
It is definitely a good time to be a board gamer.
Yes.
Right.
All right, let's go through these again because we've talked and now we're going to forget it all. So, say hi when a speak card is played. Bark when bells are played. Bells are also 2. Rolls are 0. Begs are 10. And the new one is say the name of all the brown cards. So you would say, like, sit 5 or whatever it is.
So does that stack with, like...
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, always say the number last.
So if it was
the
a
last
speak,
thing
you would
is
say, like,
number.
hi, speak 5, for example.
Okay.
All right.
Are we good?
Are we good?
All
Do you
right.
want to go through them again?
I'm good.
Good?
No,
Let's
Got
do
it.
it.
I like to live
Do
on the sharp edge here.
All right.
All right.
I can't see it.
Fetch 4.
Good dog. Yep.
Sit 8.
Good dog.
Yes.
8.
Good dog. Yep.
You didn't
No,
say that.
he doesn't have to.
Oh.
It's blue.
Brown cards.
Oh.
8. So we're at 8.
18.
Bad dog.
Oh, it's not fetch cards that are 10?
Nope.
Beg.
Beg cards that are 10.
All right.
4.
I'm the
dog.
one that loses this one for us. 14. Beg 14.
Good dog. Caught it. I know. Now we're stacking rolls.
16.
Good dog.
Hi. Speak. 21.
Good dog.
Yes.
Bestest of dogs. 21.
23. Bark.
Yes. Yep.
23.
Good dog.
33. Beg 33. Nope, they're not blue, so it's fine.
It's okay because you're a good dog. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Magic Moose Moon, for popping in to check us out.
I already lost.
You already lost.
Already lost.
How many more do we have?
We have 2 more levels to get through. So we've already gone through 6 levels, which is above the standard level, and we're working towards the very hard. So Chris is going to be the doctor. So if necessary, you could share a bone with one of us.
I just did.
But you could share another one.
That's true.
Which I don't think could hurt.
So in theory, we can shuffle them back
Right.
to him.
But as we lose them, we're just losing score.
Okay.
So, I mean, on one hand,
I like that.
you could say, well, if I don't give it, we're going to lose. So I have
Well, I mean, if
I
we
have
lose,
to
we
give
lose anyway, right?
Exactly.
You know, I mean,
but by not
losing is
giving
losing.
it to
Right.
Burger, we might or me, you might lose.
So
but at the same time,
we only have 2 more rules, but
Okay.
these rules are both very hard.
We left the
Okay.
very hard for last.
We left very hard
No
for last.
problem.
So
right.
we're gonna say hi when speak cards are played. We're gonna bark when bell cards are played. Bell cards are also worth 2.
Okay.
We're gonna say the name of all brown cards.
Sure.
We're gonna roll cards are 0.
Okay.
Okay.
Bed cards are 10.
Okay.
And fetch cards are 3.
Oh, that's the hardest one. Thank God we're not subtracting yet.
Oh.
Okay.
right.
Fetch is 3.
we
Fetch
go.
is 3.
Fetch is 3.
Fetch is 3. Okay. You start, yeah.
3.
Good dog.
Yeah, good thing we just went over. 3.
Good dog.
Six.
Good dog.
9? No, sit 9.
Bad
Sit
dog.
9.
Bad
Sit 9.
dog.
I knew that there was anything with the word sit, but I couldn't think of that. Okay. Start at 0 again.
Bag 2. No, bag 10. Bag 10. It's bag 10 is the number.
He's like, but I'm still a good dog, right?
Good dog.
Okay. All right. High 14.
Good dog.
24.
Good dog.
Good dog. Oh. High speak 26.
Good dog.
Bark 28.
Good dog.
Yes. This game is tough. Man.
32.
Good
I was
dog.
like, there's no rules.
There's literally nothing else.
It's just
All right,
adding 4.
So Burger, you're gonna have the final.
Right.
You're gonna have the final one. I'm
Right.
gonna suggest that Heather and I take one.
Yes,
of these.
Yeah.
I think. Yes, I agree. Because even though it was like, I knew it, like, I didn't. There's so many things I remember. It's like, this is the hardest one, of course. So
Of course.
no problem.
For those of you watching at home, would you like to watch me crash and burn? 'Cause you came in at a good time.
Oh, it's totally going to happen.
We got
All right.
this.
From the top.
Okay.
Say hi when speak cards are played.
Yep.
Bark when bell cards are played.
Yep.
Bell cards are 2.
Yep.
Say the name of all brown cards.
Yep.
Roll cards are 0.
Yep.
Beg cards are 10.
Yep.
Fetch cards are 3.
Yep.
And double all blue.
Double all blue. Oh, man. Okay.
You got
Nice.
this.
Fetch is 3, double blue. Fetch is 3, double blue. All right. 20.
Good dog.
Fetch 24.
Bad dog.
Do you remember now?
Do you need me to tell you what it was? Or can I tell you what it was for the
Well,
rules?
we've been doing it, but again, that's why it's like
fetch
it's
cards
the
are
discretion of
Fetch
the
cards
doctor.
are 3.
So back to 0. Okay. 4.
Good dog.
High 6.
Good dog.
Beg 16.
Good dog.
High 18.
Good dog.
Woo! All right. 26.
Good dog.
28.
Good dog.
Ooh, okay. High speak 30.
Yes, good dog.
Chris?
40.
Good dog.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So we passed the test, and let's see what our score was.
I don't think I've done it at 8 before. I don't think I've actually gotten through.
Oh, I do it, a lot when I play tests. For 3 players, if we have how many votes left? 4?
Heather plays it with smarter people than me.
That's fair.
We
Most
got a
people
C
would
plus
vote
again.
on
We
that.
got a C plus.
C
We would've had-
plus, C plus, yo.
Yes, C plus. So
How many with 3 people? How many did we need to get like a B?
well, 6.
6. And an A would have been how many?
Well, A plus is 9. We would have lost
Well,
nothing.
A plus is
7.
losing
7
9,
was
right?
an A. B plus is actually B plus is a 6. B is a 5.
How many do we have left?
4.
Oh.
So a couple of things, just
Yeah.
things that I was trying to think if I can remember them because my brain is on fire now. from all that. One of the things that's interesting is, much like games like The Mind, if you are actually very good at memory, then this becomes a test of endurance.
Yeah.
Because
Which is what I
you're
like
trying
about
to do
it. I try to perfect it.
is do it perfectly
Yeah.
or get an A. Whereas memory, not my strong point. I'm more of a creative thinker. I just want to survive, right?
That's where I was at with it.
Right, and the party game aspect is definitely more than survival. But I mean, at Unpub convention this past spring, a lot of game designers were like, "We're gonna right off the bat, hardcore. Don't remind us in between." And it was just the kind of vibe that crowd wanted. and that was more going to be to your, your gamer, your engineer, those kind of people. But it also it challenges people from the party game perspective too.
And there's a really fun thing where you, as a game group, have the opportunity to say, how hardcore do you want to play it?
Right.
Because, like, optimally, like, I personally think the best way to play this game is super hardcore, which is don't remind ever.
Well, that's too hard.
Right?
Oh, you mean during the round?
During the round.
Yeah, during the round.
You're not allowed. You just say it once during the round, and you never get to see the cards again. Because not seeing the cards, actually, I find very difficult.
I can imagine.
As a visual person.
I like to do them I like to repeat them in the order that they came out, because that's how I remember them. Yeah. So when they don't get repeated in that order, I'm like, wait, I gotta put them in order in my brain.
See, the way I was doing it was like easier to increase the difficulty.
And I've played it at MagFest a couple weeks ago with a whole bunch of play groups. And a lot of people were doing, I guess, what they call it, mnemonics?
Yeah, mnemonics.
So, mnemonics. So they were like,
Johnny Mnemonics.
Bags are 5. They would be like, shake is 5. Yeah, shake is 5. And then they'd like, shake hand. So they would remember, like, a hand is 5 or something. So they were doing all these associations, and I was like, that's kind of fun. And they were figuring it out.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned, like, your different play group and your different aspects of it. I had friends over a couple weeks ago. We played this new game called Rival Restaurants. Have y'all heard of it?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it yet.
Like me, I like to just hang out and play board games, right?
Sure.
But my buddy Earl, who was here, he brought the game, played it hard. And it's fascinating to see, like, how he does mental math. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to do this. And, like, he set it up so that on his turn he would have, like, the perfect number of points.
Right.
It ended up being a tie. But we had to go through the fourth level of tiebreakers in that rule book in order to find out the winner. It's a cool game. If you guys ever get the chance to check it out, I recommend it.
I've heard good things.
But yeah, so I think that makes it really fun. Basically, the way the rule book will be written, the final version is going to be, it's to the doctor's discretion if you're a good dog or a bad dog, okay? And that is based on what you've agreed upon from your play group. So we're going to leave it at that with maybe a little bit more, and then we'll put in some suggestions on, what we mean by
you can read the rule book on Kickstarter right now. It's on the page.
Absolutely.
It's not the final, but it gives you the idea.
It's not the final, but it's close.
And again,
to the
final. !dogs is the link to get to the Kickstarter. If you type that in chat, it'll head right over. You guys want to give it another quick round?
Sure. Let me reset this now. I don't know. Do we want to do another hard, or do we want to just do? I mean, now we feel like we can't even go back at this point. But it's up to you guys.
I don't know how long I have you guys. I don't want to keep you all night.
No, it's not super long. So I'm okay either way. Chris, you want to try this, or do you want to try the 5?
Let's try to 5 and try to be super hardcore about it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I like
5.
that.
We'll go super hardcore.
Which I think is the.
We won't remind in between rounds.
During this game, I'm going to start our giveaway countdown because our wonderful official dice sponsor, Legendary Pants, is going to let us give away a set of dice today.
Legendary Pants.
Legendary Pants. Yeah. Take a look at my dice container up there. Those are all his dice.
Oh, okay.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're pretty cool. I like them a lot because a lot of, aside from the ones that are designed specifically not to, the ones I like really high contrast, really bold numbers. They look really great on camera. He's also got ones that are UV sensitive, so they glow in a black light, which is awesome.
So I'm all about that.
So I'm going to start that giveaway now. It's the O'Neills, Jer Thomas, is joining us.
Hi. We
know a lot of people.
His name is Gerard.
Oh yeah. Hi.
Gerard Thomas.
Yeah.
Yes.
We know Gerard.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody call Gerard Jer.
Okay, I'm just going through these quick. I'm gonna do one very hard. Should we do Bark F. Skinner, or Collie Young?
Collie Young.
All right. All right. So they're all loaded. We're just gonna do the 5, but we're just gonna play it much more hardcore.
Exclamation point dice to enter the raffle.
Nice. Okay, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
It's like a little Discord bot. Is that basically?
Yeah, it's part of Streamlabs. We were talking about.
It's part of the Streamlabs.
Cool.
Yeah, so if somebody does it, it'll go for half an hour, and then afterwards you'll elect a winner.
Cool.
Very cool.
I dig it.
All right, I guess I'll start being the doctor this time.
You are,
right? We're setting
timing.
this up. Okay, great. All right, I'm gonna pick Anna Fetch. Okay.
We're just gonna read them one time. And then we're not going to do reminders.
Roll your hands when roll cards are played, and there'll be a little description of what that means. But basically, this little action. That's all you're going to do. So roll when roll is played.
Seems super good.
Yep.
0.
Good dog.
1.
Good dog.
5.
Good dog.
6.
Good dog.
11.
Good dog.
11.
Good dog.
16.
Good dog.
19.
Good dog.
21.
Good dog.
25.
Good dog. So there's an example with only 2 players where it didn't actually come up. It almost always has this whole night, but because there's only 2 players, it didn't come up. So doesn't that seem so easy compared to what we've been doing, guys? All right.
I like this game.
You know them too?
That's my wife. That's upstairs.
Yeah.
Gerard actually used to work for me.
Yep.
And I officiated his first wedding.
And we see him at PAX all the time.
We may have gotten him hooked up with our friends at Lone Shark.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
I have one of their games.
Nice.
Yes,
So,
pretty much.
yeah. All right, so
That wasn't on
so how are we
screen.
doing this? You're going to remind us of the rule and say the other rule, and that's it?
That is correct.
Only one time?
One time.
Oh,
roll
okay.
hands when roll cards are played.
Okay.
Okay.
And say ding when a bell is played.
Ding.
It's my absolute favorite role in the game.
Okay, say ding when a bell is
Say
played.
ding
Roll
is
hands when roll is played. Okay, seems
right.
pretty simple.
My
so
turn or
far.
your turn?
You. Yep.
5.
Good dog.
7.
Good dog.
10.
Good dog.
11.
Good dog.
16.
Good dog.
18.
Good dog.
20.
Good dog.
21.
Good dog.
Ding. 21.
Very good dog.
Yeah.
24.
Good dog.
All right. Nice.
Mindy is saying that her brain is melted already.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, actually, speaking of Todd Walsh with Barricades, this game breaks him in the first round almost every time. Like, it's just not a thing for him either. So after I took it for playtesting, like the 3rd time, he's like, I gotta.
He's like, I'm out.
I
I
can't
can't
play
do it
this
anymore.
I've never had a game that challenged my brain as much as this one. Aside from when I played at PAX called Feudum.
Oh yeah, I know
Feudum.
Feudum.
That
Yeah.
game melt like I was playing with some guy from a company called Omicron Protocol. Came in from California to hang out at PAX Unplugged. They had a great time. But they wanted to play this game Feudum, and we didn't even get through setup.
Oh man.
before your brains were melted.
Well,
Like, what is this?
Well, what's great about and that's one of the things that's funny is like if you have a brain melter like that and it's Feudum, that's a lot of a commitment time, and this is like it's in little chunks and it's kind of silly. And,
I could see like heavy board gamers losing it on this one. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they definitely do. Like I said, watching some like heavy strategy board game designers come in and say, "Yeah, we got this right away," and then just completely lose.
Love
in 2
watching
rounds.
them. Watching them lose
It was like, whoops, it's not.
especially when you add some liquor to the
Wow,
to the
that
to the
really makes it okay. So what do we got now?
So we got roll hands when rolls or cards are played, say ding when a bell is played, and double all brown cards.
Double brown.
cards.
Okay. All right. Okay. 4.
Good dog.
Ding. 4.
Good dog.
12.
Good dog.
22.
Good dog.
28.
Good dog.
32.
Good dog.
33.
Good dog.
35.
Good dog.
38.
Good dog.
40.
Good dog.
Woo! We had a lot of brown in the middle there, but otherwise it was pretty easy. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. All right.
It'll get there.
It's going to
We're
get
buzzing
there.
through here.
I'm going to go to the hard one and leave the easy for last. Okay. So we've got
Zen is a fantastic baby. Zen's a dog's name. one of those cool ironic names. You've met him.
Yeah, the dog is many things.
Zen is not necessarily one of those things.
All right. So, this round, we still have roll your hands when roll cards are played. Say ding when a bell is played.
Okay.
Beg cards are 5 now. And double all brown cards. So beg cards are 5 is the new one.
Beg cards are 5.
Beg is 5. Still double all brown cards.
All right.
All right, Chris. Whenever you're ready.
Ding. 0.
Good dog.
8.
Good dog.
13.
Good dog.
17.
Good dog.
Ding. 17.
Good dog.
20.
Good dog.
24.
Good dog.
Uh,
24.
34.
Bad dog.
Ah, I thought beg cards were 5.
It was, but we were at 24.
But they're also doubled.
Oh, you're
Are
right.
brown cards
You're
doubled?
all right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. I was thinking you're thinking beg cards are 10, and I forgot the brown rule. So that's on me. Sorry. Just kidding. You're totally a good dog.
Yeah.
You are a good dog.
What
I'm
number
sorry.
are we at?
We were at 34.
34.
Yeah, that's my fault.
39.
Good dog.
44.
Good dog.
Yes.
Sorry, man. I was looking at this side, not looking over there.
Oh.
Woo!
Okay.
Yeah. No, you're not going crazy. I was like, no, beg cards 10 was last game. I'm like, oh, whoops.
This is really cool.
And actually, when you're the dog-ter, it is a little tough because I'm looking at this and I'm like forgetting.
Well, we're just gonna add one easy one here. This is it.
One more.
We
And
do this, we get an A. We get an A, on this level.
Yeah. So still gotta get through it.
Still gotta get through it. So we're gonna double all brown cards.
Okay.
We're gonna beg cards are 5.
Awesome.
We're gonna say ding when a bell's played.
Wonderful.
We're gonna roll hands when roll cards are played.
Sure.
And we're gonna bark for blue cards.
Okay.
All right.
Bark on blue.
Bark on blue.
Bark on blue. All right. Whenever you're ready.
5.
Good dog.
Ding 5.
Good dog.
You started doing this and now I'm doing this.
Rough. 10.
Good dog.
Ding 10.
Hey, thanks for that.
Ding 10.
Ding 10.
Good dog.
14.
Good dog.
16.
Good dog.
17.
Good dog.
25.
Good dog.
Higher amount.
27.
Good dog.
Ding 27.
Yay!
dog.
We've been
A+.
plus.
We got
Yeah,
an
that
A+.
worked out really well. That,
So-
and that actually ended up being way easier than
Than we thought it was gonna
the
be.
previous 2 games.
So I mean, if we added 3 more on, we might not get an A+, but we did
Hey,
pretty
we
good.
would've gotten it. I really enjoyed that.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for bringing it down and
Sure.
for showing it to me. It is again live on Kickstarter right now.
Yes,
I know.
a little bit more than a week.
And I know at least a couple people backed it while they were watching.
Yeah,
That's pretty nice.
thank you guys.
And that's of course is the goal.
Yes.
So earlier today, when I did I put all my social medias up and I asked folks if they would like to ask questions of the game devs, and so it does look like most of these questions are just generally about game development.
Sure.
Which is fascinating. Given
Everybody wants to make a game these days.
Right.
Game designer is the new DJ.
That is true.
Would you like to play my game? Is the equivalent of, hey, would you listen to this mixtape?
Yeah.
So one of the questions we got was, what is your process like? How much of the original big idea makes it to the end product?
Ooh. Well, let's just talk strictly board game.
Heather and I have very different processes. my process is very Heather's is far more linear than mine. I tend to make a lot of big ideas, but I'm willing to murder all of my babies. I very routinely take an idea and strip it for parts and use it to make 6 other ideas, and then strip those for parts and make 16 other ideas.
I mean, Chris is our big idea guy, concept guy, and for most of our games. But Chris does do most of our RPG design. So for board game design, not that he's not involved in that, but we usually have the big idea, like we're doing Pavlov's dogs or we're doing Schrodinger's cats. And then once we get to any level of something that we like, then I kind of start doing more of like an analytical approach to like playtesting and development on it, and trying different things and whittling down what doesn't work. And a lot of times I know it doesn't work, but I don't know why it doesn't work. And then Chris will be like, you know what, I don't think it needs that, or this doesn't really do what you think it's doing.
I tend to be a big D designer, and they're a big D developer.
I get it.
Right? And they are very different. They're very different roles.
Yeah.
So Heather spends a lot of times, and like for Meeple Party, that was Heather's solo design.
Yeah.
It's not like we didn't have a lot of people that did some development work on it.
Sure.
But it was Heather's design from the word go.
Nice.
And it, it was really about building,
from that concept,
building the concept and going straight through.
Right.
I'm very willing to like take a high level idea and throw it at the wall and see what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of that's what we did on Pavlov's, because we started out with a couple different things and didn't like how they worked, and then we kind of sat on it and threw a couple ideas that we thought might work at the wall for this, and then we got this.
To be a little talky.
No, go for it.
No. I mean, especially if you said a lot of people were asking about like actual core design. My favorite person to talk about game design is Mark Rosewater from Wizards of the Coast, right? Magic, Mara.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about the fact that when you're doing designs are either top down or bottom up.
Right.
Like, do I start with mechanics and do I build up into a game, which is how Heather builds?
Typically, I do. Yeah.
Or do you start with a theme and you build down, and that's how I build.
Yeah.
And this is a game that definitely was top down. Heather bottomed up 15 different games for this.
I was like, what about this? That sounds like it could be a dog game.
Try this. Whereas I kept being like, nope, that's just not.
That actually is another question somebody asked. When you're talking mechanics or theme, which do you find is more important when you're starting a new project?
It's hard to say what's more important. In my opinion, so like I would say that they're equally valid. However, not every mechanic is as good as every theme, in my opinion, or vice versa. So when I had Meeple Party, it was the mechanic, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I want this to be about a party, but it was the mechanic of the movement of them that I started with. Where like this one, for example, was the theme, and we were trying to. We needed to meet the theme more than we needed to meet a specific mechanic.
In the role-playing space, theme is everything.
Yeah.
But even in board games, we talk a lot about, and we do a lot of things like Metatopia or Unpub. We do a lot of like
development
proto-spiel stuff where people go and they show their games and they think. And this question comes up a lot, and one of the things that we talk about with this is, at the end of the day, it's about understanding what. Oh, you all did Meeple Party.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
The understanding what your goals are, right? So, unfortunately, themes are what sell games.
Yeah.
But mechanics are what make games last.
And the other thing what you're saying is
marrying
that
Exactly.
And the goal being, if your goal is, for example, your goal is, to fill out, you're doing a stained glass window. Your mechanic is just to fill this grid in, and sometimes it works. But if your goal is something, we know about that one. But let's say there's some other things that like
there might be a very famous game with that.
There's some other goal that you have in your mind.
2 of them.
And the game name or the theme just like seems like it's slapped on. And the good thing is the game might be fun and it still sells, but you can just you don't mind, you don't really care about the theme in those cases.
There's a game I like to play a lot, also on my shelf, the Resident Evil 2 board game. And it's one of those games where it nails the theme. Big fan of the old video game.
Right.
and the mechanics of the board game are genuinely very fun.
Okay, cool.
So, like, as the kind of game where I was talking to the folks at Gen Con that made it, and I was like, guys, like, I'd play this with like a different color on it. Like, let's slap a new skin. And I think that really says something cool about nice mechanics.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you talk to designers, unless they're working on a property, if they're willing to alter your theme.
Yeah.
One of the biggest...
Do you mean a publisher?
Yeah, unless you're working with like a piece of IP.
Right.
Especially for new designers, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is that people will go all in on their theme.
Yeah.
And they think their theme is going to lead to a Netflix series a house at the beach. And you have to be willing to let some of these things go. And you have to be willing to, especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing about that is... if you're working on a game design of any theme or type, I think the main thing you should do is start researching, because a lot of times the number one thing I have happen at a game design unpub or GMG meeting is somebody showing me this great game and it's exactly like another game. Like, have you played Azul? Have you played this? Have you played that? No, I haven't heard of it. So there's all these... especially Oregon theme, like a lot of zombie themes. Maybe don't do those because there's too many of them right now or whatever. But the idea being that somebody's kind of in their own bubble, and it's not that it's not a good game, but somebody had that idea 4 years ago and it's already out. And, you know,
can you open that door for me? Sorry. I have so while she's doing that. Similar. I have a story about a similar subject. I have a good friend of mine. He's from Parma, Italy. He lives over there, and one day...
Where they make the cheese.
Where they make the cheese. And the ham.
And the ham.
So one day he messages me...
I do love an old Philadelphian that's like, can I get some of that Parma ham?
That's what they call it there. They'll also tell you that it tastes different everywhere else.
Okay.
Even if you buy it there and take it with you. But one day he messaged me on Facebook at like, it must have been like 4 a.m. for him. He goes, Berger, I have this great idea. And I was like, what do you got? But he's like, I want to open a pizza place. I'm like, you're in the place for it.
Right.
He goes, but here's the thing. Is all I want to do is margarita pies. I'm going to charge €5 for it. And it's going to be come in and get it. Come in with your €5.
Right.
You get your margarita pie. And I'm like, dude, that sounds like a great idea. It's just like Little Caesars. And he goes, what's Little Caesars? And I'm like, go ahead and Google that.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine because you probably won't have that competition there. But you're right. It's the same kind of idea. I just encourage people to research mechanics. There's also a lot of people that make like a bad Magic variant and they've never played Magic and they don't even realize their game's like Magic. It's like, guys, maybe think about these things. So
I'm really interested though in micro Kaisers.
So have you ever had to scrap an idea and start over? Yeah.
Well, this particular one we did, yes.
Scrapping ideas is
it's part of the process.
Part of the process.
Actually,
we maintain lists of ideas, and I keep prototypes and half formed things so that we can build from them in the past. You have to kill your darlings. They talk about that in writing and they talk about that in music all the time. But in game development, especially when you're trying lots and lots of things, eventually. There are way more ideas than there are going to be games made. Awesome. You need a lot of ideas.
Yeah, so I think the part of it is, even if in this case it was like, okay, we shelved it for a couple of years and we came back with another idea, even though Schrodinger's didn't really change the gameplay, we still took a step away from it. Meeple Party, I took a step away from it for a little while because you kind of have to stop looking at it every week and just let it kind of percolate and then go back to it and say, why wasn't I feeling like 110% great about that?
Heather had been working on Pavlov's dogs and not getting anywhere, and then stepped away from it and actually spent a whole lot of time on Meeple Party, and then reached a point where
I needed to step away from Meeple Party for a little bit.
You were too, like, the game was done, but we weren't ready to do the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to keep working on it.
So I think I was just like forcing
things. You need to step away from it.
I needed to step away.
And when she did, she stepped and started working back on Pavlov's, and then like everything came together. So
what does the development cycle generally look like on a tabletop game?
Like from a timing, so that's very, very different depending on
type of game. Now we're talking. We could talk about
the publishing model.
Well, right, and I was going to say we could talk about it from our experience, which is a much smaller company, or if we're talking about something like the Betrayal Legacy level, it's very different. So on a small scale, once it gets to the point where the mechanics are where we like them to be, and people are having fun in multiple playtests, it's going well. Typically that's when it goes to the development. Okay, well, what rules are we actually going to do, and how many cards are actually everybody dealt, and how many bones do you really start with? Most of that was like, let's just say 3 and 3 cards. Let's just say 5 and 5. Like, we didn't, just to test it out. And that's when we said, well, how many cards do you go to? You know, that's all of that was development work. Okay. Was how many of these, what makes sense, what can people handle.
Thank you for the follow.
And, you know, that probably didn't, for this game, didn't take very long. I'd say it took maybe 6 to 9 months for the development part.
But the actual total development from design through to the Kickstarter has taken years.
Yeah, year and a half, 2 years.
Now, what's interesting is there is a piece, especially in board games now, where by the time you get to the Kickstarter level or the sales level, everything has to be done.
Yeah.
And then it's really just waiting for production, and then production's a completely different cycle.
Right. So if you would get
kickstarting stuff, I've followed.
Right. So let's say you pitched, you're a designer and you want to pitch to a big company. That company is probably going to give you some different deadlines that are well before you see that come out, because they want to get to the point where this is right now. Maybe 3 to 6 months before that Kickstarter actually happens, so that they're ready to like click the button to
So when you're talking about selling a game idea to a publisher, you know, you're probably looking at about maybe a 3-year cycle. So it's like you're spending a year to 2 years on it, and then it's going to be with that publisher for a year or two before.
So it's like a year before you go to the publisher, and then another year at the publisher.
And basically it depends.
With publishers, you got to remember they have schedules, right? So unless your idea is the greatest idea in the world, and they just happen to have 0 commitments,
which is not the case anymore.
Never going to be the case.
I mean, everyone basically, when we were, and I was talking to anybody who was looking for games, most at PAX Unplugged just a couple months ago, almost everyone was scheduling for 2021 at that time. Very few people were talking about 2020 releases. So if you were getting signed in November of 19, you're talking it's probably summer of 2021. So it's about a year and a half. Best case.
During the development cycle, any surprising changes or additions that have just come up by accident as you were working on the game?
Almost always. Happy accidents are a great way of discovering new things.
The word doctor was a happy accident. We were just making funny puns as we were playing, and somebody said doctor, and we were like, that's going in the game. You know, and stuff like that. Just little things just from playtest that we were like, we like that. That's going in the game. And most of it's thematic most of the time. Yeah. But sometimes there's been things that are...
but we, you know, it happens at a... it happens in any kind of game design. We do a lot of playtesting. Playtesting is very important. But we do a lot of playtesting at different levels and stages. So we do this Game Makers Guild. I was talking about that earlier. There's a game that we're working on that's a dexterity game, and like things came up during gameplay of just, you know, some new people playing it, and it was like, oh, that's great, that's in the game now. Right, like, you know,
it was their first take on it.
It was just especially when you introduce games and mechanics to people, it's always fascinating what their initial assumptions are
and expectations.
And expectations,
which is what's going to happen when that game goes to a publisher or hits a real they buy it they see it for the first time at a convention or their friend's house. They're going to look at it and have an expectation of what it is, right?
There's a great Magic story that I talk about with that, which is when I learned to play Magic 27 years ago.
Whoa.
It was everyone put their lands up front.
Instead of
behind your field?
In front of the field, like, so that my lands and your lands would be right next to each other, and all my stuff would be behind my lands.
That's so alien to me.
And it makes no sense to modern Magic players. Like, if you ever sit down at a table with someone and they put their lands up at the top, you're like, oh, you've been playing Magic for a very long time.
Or you haven't played it in a very long time.
Because now they show you, like, how to do it, where they put the land here. Right, if you play an arena, they put the land here.
Because it was never stated where the land goes.
It wasn't stated where to go.
Huh.
So
that's pretty funny.
So it was the first thing that you did, so people would put it the furthest away from them.
That's funny. Just naturally happened.
I like that.
I never heard of that either.
Arena's amazing too. How do you feel when you get through a game, you release it, and folks start homebrewing their own things with it?
I think it's great.
Yeah. That definitely happens in Kobolds and
Our first game was Cobalt Ate My Baby, the role playing game, and we actually have a rule in that game that says, "Hey, we already have your money, so this is yours now. Do whatever the hell you want with it."
Respect.
I mean, I do think that there's something to be said to play the game as it's written. I find it irritating when I'm playing a game with people and they don't play the rules as written, because generally the rules are written that way for a reason.
Yeah.
But if you're going to tinker with it to make something else with it, I think that's great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like Meeple Party, the BGG forums, a lot of the solo guys had some different ideas. They said, "Hey, you know what I did? I ended up doing this and doing this and doing this just to make it different." And I was like, "That sounds cool."
Like community, by the way, the solo gamers on BGG,
yeah.
solo variants for everything.
Yeah, so they've come up with. There's a solo game. I mean, Meeple's 1 through 5, but they played through basically 50 times already, and we're looking for additional complexity. That's so they came up with their own stuff, and I'm like, sure, go for it, have fun.
I absolutely enjoy that. Yeah, I felt that way with. I get frustrated when people house rule stuff in a board game because.
I mean, I don't mind house rules, especially
if they make sense, right?
In role playing and miniatures games where there's a lot of complex rules.
I think what you mean, Chris, is they don't read the rules correctly. They don't know what the rules are.
The reason that they're not playing the rules, they're not playing the game as written, is because they're doing it wrong.
Right.
I get unconscionably angry when someone tries to explain to me that the rules that I'm playing with are wrong, because I'm like, I don't know about you, but I read the rules.
It's funny you mentioned that. When I was running tournaments at PAX South a couple of years ago, a woman came up to me. She says, "The rule book for Patchwork is wrong." Oh. And I said, "Excuse me?" Because the rule book for Patchwork is wrong. I have my rule book, and she pulled her own rule book, and they had legit changed a rule from the first edition to the next edition.
Oh man!
And it's like, it's not wrong. It's just yours is older.
Different version, yeah.
It's like, well, which one are you going to go with? So I'm going to go with the more up-to-date rule set.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
This question comes from a indie dev in the video game sphere.
Okay.
What does the marketing strategy generally look like? In video games, so much of the indie sphere relies on earned media, people picking up the game on Twitch and YouTube. I'm curious to see if that strategy is equally effective for tabletop gaming.
I think it is. Unfortunately, there's the model of distribution into retailers for tabletop is completely different than how it is for video games. So a big portion of it is getting the buyers from the distributors and the retailers to buy in early. But it's also equally valid as indie, like our level, to spend as much time on things like this and getting it out in the world and letting people see it.
So there's two levels of, unfortunately the truth is that in the indie world there's almost no marketing.
Yeah.
Right. But if we think about
real
it,
big budget.
there's no budgeted marketing.
No, there's no budgeted.
So there's a whole lot of whoever wants to write about it, whoever wants to talk about it, whoever wants to review it. Let's try to get it in everyone's
hands. That's why you'll see a lot of people going to so many conventions and streaming on their own or writing a design blog, because it's a free or close to free way for them to get information out about their game.
Totally.
But one of the things is that when you talk about the game, so there's now multiple levels to how a game gets marketed and made. And so for us, we're at a level where we could and we do put out some games without kickstarting them. We're big enough to do that, but we're not big enough to not do that. Right. Like there's some companies that are big enough that like actually it's negative to spend time
on doing a Kickstarter.
So we're in a space where we have to market our Kickstarters, and we use the Kickstarter. But for us, we are definitely bigger than just funding a Kickstarter isn't all we want to do, because our games are then sold into distribution. Yeah. So
that's step one, to get it made and cover our first print run. And then step two is, it's in the distributor's warehouse, and hopefully we're going to Gamma, which is a trade show, which is in March. So we're going to be meeting with a bunch of buyers at a bunch of retailers that say, hey, this is going to be coming out with, remember Schrodinger's Cats was a big hit for you? Well, this is the companion product, and kind of pitching all that again.
So actually, we think Pavlov's is a good example. Like, it's going to be, it's fine. We're going to fund on Kickstarter. It'll be fun. But it'll actually do better in stores.
Yeah.
because it's an easy sell, like
Right,
Schrodinger's Cats.
colorful.
Whereas Meeple Party was kind of the other way
Right,
around.
and it's a $20
Right.
price point. It's not going to be an expensive game. It's going to be a $20 game. It's going to play 2 to 8. It's going to have cute dogs. So I'm not worried about it selling in retail as much. So this was just a matter of, you know, we're small. We don't have, you know, 10, 15 grand just
Correct.
sitting around to just throw at this. So that's why we Kickstarted.
I get that. That's all of our questions.
Okay.
I want to go ahead and again thank Heather and Chris O'Neill from Ninth Level Games for coming out and hanging out with us on Table Ready.
Sure.
Go ahead and check out their Kickstarter, Pavlov's Dogs. It's currently live on Kickstarter. The game's a blast. I gotta tell you, like, as a vet board gamer, like, I'd recommend this to really anybody. It's like, when you do a board game that I always think of, like, I have a genre of games I like to pull out called the palate cleanser. Like, you play a big, heavy game that's set up when everybody gets there.
That's kind of our market. Yeah.
We are the amuse-bouche.
This is a really great one of those, and it's got like complexities and brain twisting. And again, I also want to thank Ivan Pavlov, his dogs, and all of you guys watching at home. If you like what we're doing here and want to see more content, give us a follow. And if you'd like to help support us as we go ahead and upgrade our equipment going forward, you can go ahead and give us a subscription or donate directly through Twitch. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you, Heather and Chris.
Thanks,
And
guys.
have a good night.
See ya.